And thank you so much
Thank you
for coming, and we appreciate your passion.
Emily McBrney, followed by Minbina Kaur.
Good afternoon. If you have a question, Barbara will interpret for me. I'd like to share 4 areas of concern about a text published by Cengage. The observations include Common Core, videos, recommended book list, and adult pen pals. Because Texas has rejected Common Core, it's imperative for people to know that this textbook is a proponent of Common Core. This is a quote. Into Books brings the Common Core standards to life with a safe, motivating online curriculum that matches students with adult e-mentors. Students get authentic experience purposefully reading books with e-mentors and sharing ideas about important issues via online letters. It's not advisable to match 11 and 12-year-old children with adult pen pals, no matter how safe the publishers think this may be. The same publishers have made videos readily available. A few thousand videos include such titles as Are Mites Having Sex on My Face? Horseshoe Crabs Made in Massive Bay Orgy. Male Hummingbirds Sing for Sex. I was engaged when I was 5. She underwent the painful ritual of female genitalia mutilation. The recommended book list was no better. In the section marked Heroes, there were only 5, and 4 of them were political activists. Dr. Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Nelson Mandela. The same people making these videos available to children want to match them with adult pen pals. I vote no on the approval of this textbook. I hope you will join me.
Mrs. Bahorich.
I was just wondering, now, how did you get to those videos? I'm not sure I understood, because I went in there to try to see how to find, to get to some of these issues, and I couldn't.
It's very difficult. I could hear her. Okay. You click. You want me to tell you?
Yeah, just,
okay.
I'll look at them
Okay,
later.
you bring up the home page for the textbook. And under the home page, you can put your cursor on the word home page, and a menu drops down. And you put your cursor on the list that says Connect to NG, and another will drop down, and you put your cursor on ePals. It's a little box at the bottom of the screen. And then when that pops up, another box will appear, and you put your mouse or your cursor on the one that says E-Mentors for Common Core. And then when that pops up, there's another drop down, and it says Into Books. And then it'll the videos will come up automatically, and there's just thousands, literally thousands, and you scroll through the videos, and then at the bottom it'll say more videos, more videos, more videos, and you continue to put your cursor, and more videos are brought up. I didn't even read the most embarrassing ones, so, but they're in.
And what age?
Appreciate that.
I'm sorry, which age was this? 6th?
Age 6th grade, 11-year-olds, 11 and 12, 6th grade.
If there is someone from Cengage in the audience, when you sit down, if there's a way to block that, we'd sure like to know, to block access.
I don't have
That's a good question.
any idea.
Well, all right, Ms. Bahorich, all right, did you have another question? All right, Ms. Hardy.
Was just going to point out the reason in that 6th grade that they don't have any other names. Those are just some people that they chose to put in there. In 6th grade, there are no individual names in the TEKS like other places have a list of names they need to know. It was 6th grade world cultures, and they really didn't. So that explains why you don't have any of a George Washington or anybody of that nature. But whenever this company, I didn't see this thing about these pen pals, and I will say that I'm sure that these videos don't reflect anything to do with world cultures. There's just access to the National Geographic's library. But this pen pal thing, is that something they sell? I mean, that they promote as part of the ancillary with this product?
What did you say?
Is that something that is promoted? The pen pals is promoted.
The pen pals program is promoted heavily, yes. They tell you how the children will benefit from being an adult pen pal with someone, a stranger, or across the street or around the world. It's very highly promoted, and it's scary to me.
I had seen a couple of presentations, and I hadn't seen them bring that out. I mean, that's the first time I've seen that about the pen pal. I think that's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Which means the kids will find it because they're just, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Cargill?
Mrs. Miller.
First of all, thank you for bringing this to our attention. And my question now is about Common Core. I would think since it is against the law in our state, thanks to the legislature and the opinion from Greg Abbott, that Common Core may not be taught in our public schools. My question is to you or to Ms. Cargill or to our lawyer, how could that get by us? This doesn't pass the smell test, okay? So we need to make sure about this.
Yeah.
All right.
We have a search going on for Vaughn. He stepped out for just a second for our attorney.
Okay.
But he's coming. Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
Was that a
In the
question?
meantime,
Have this.
I think, yeah, Emily, I think it was part of a question, but she was asking it of our attorney.
Thank you. They're going to get the attorney and find out the legal issue about the Common Core.
So could you explain that paragraph, Emily, that you have? How did you
In quotes.
get to right?
Did you get to that quote?
Did you got to something from the website that was specifically Common Core, or explain what that means?
How did you get that quote? Where was it from?
Okay. The text is online. You turn on your computer and you bring your cursor or your mouse. When you can access the textbook by putting in your password and your ID, and the homepage comes up. And then you move your cursor to the word homepage, and then you move it to, there's a variety of things to connect to, and you put it on connect to NG. If I had a screen here, I could show you. And then you move it to eMentors. There's a little box at the bottom, and you put your cursor where it says eMentors for Common Core. And then it drops down, and there's another little box that says the word in and the number 2, and then the word books, into books. And then you put your cursor on that, and it brings up the videos. And then you can scroll through.
Thank you for explaining that. You made you're a good splainer, as my kids used to say. But we do need to clarify absolutely about the Common Core, and since it was brought up when you made, connected to that, then we need to make sure that.
We'll get that answered when he comes back in the room.
Okay.
And I'm kind of laughing because I've looked at this book several times, but I'm not a teenager, so I didn't see all of that. So no surprise there. So, okay, Mr. Maynard.
Yeah, Madam Chair, and I just have a question for staff when Vaughn is located and after the search party finds him.
He never steps out.
Was that a question? Okay.
Well, we're still searching, so we'll come back. He never steps out, so but he did for a minute.
Should we get the bloodhounds?
Can we wait? Oh, okay. He thought he could escape. Never. Okay. We have the question about because Texas has
Okay. Okay.
So, Ms. Miller, did you want to repeat your question for him to hear?
Yes.
Okay.
if you notice in the testimony here, she referenced Common Core, which came on the page, the National Geographic page. My question is, we made it very clear, I say we, the legislature, with Dan Patrick, who authored 462, I believe that's the number, Greg Abbott upheld it in an opinion, who is our next governor, but saying that Common Core may not be used in any of our public schools in Texas. Okay, now my question is, how in the world did this get past us? Because to me, that doesn't pass the criteria that I think our legislators laid out for us. Or maybe we need to ask Dan Patrick and Greg Abbott to come over here and talk to us about it.
Well, I can point you to the statutory references that were passed, and you can find them in 28.02 of the Education Code. Section B-1 covers the prohibition on the board, and it, that provides a definition of it. B-2 covers the prohibition on the board, and the State Board of Education may not adopt Common Core state standards to comply with the duty imposed under this chapter, so you may not adopt it. B-3 covers school districts. It says a school district may not use Common Core state standards to comply with the requirement to provide instruction in the essential knowledge and skills at appropriate grade levels under subsection C. So school districts may not use Common Core to meet the TEKS. And B section 4 says, notwithstanding any other provision of this code, a school district or open enrollment charter school may not be required to offer any aspect of a Common Core state standards curriculum. So that a school district may not be coerced into or may not be made to use Common Core. So you have a prohibition on the board to adopt Common Core. You have a prohibition for school districts to use Common Core to meet TEKS. And you have a prohibition against requiring the teaching of Common Core.
Okay, may I ask then that this be looked at from that standpoint, and if not, I ask the chairman to ask for a ruling from the AG, okay, to verify this. This is wrong, okay, W-R-O-N-G, wrong. And if we allow something like this to pass our board after what we have been through, all of us have been through, especially those of us on the campaign trail, okay, trying to share this knowledge with our students and our parents. And I get these questions that come to me saying, but Ms. Miller, we have seen something in our schools that says Common Core written on there. And I'm going, wait a minute. So, in other words, is this a law that we're just going to ignore? Or are we going to really implement it and honor it?
Ms. Hardy, and then if Mr. Byer wants to address that.
Well, I was just going to give you an understanding of how we have addressed it in the school districts. Do you want to hear that?
Yes, but Mr. Maynard was actually first.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just get in line.
My fault. I didn't write it down. Okay.
Well, Miss Hardy has always been the teacher's pet, and so.
With good reason. She's great.
And I do have a question for staff and for legal counsel, and because I will tell you that that a number of my constituents have brought this to my attention as it relates to sometimes supplemental materials at the end of a chapter, or they will, direct students to a website that hasn't really been ever reviewed or other supplemental materials. I think we've got a case in point here, and I guess my question to Vaughn is that the statute, gives us authority to vet these textbooks based on TEKS coverage and on factual errors. And so, but if a textbook, do we have the right to reject one just based on, I mean, what can we do within the statute, Vaughn?
So the statute actually asks you to look at coverage of the TEKS and whether or not 50% of the TEKS are covered is the standard in statute. It asks you to look at whether they were printed in accordance with your manufacturing standards, and it asks you to proof them for factual errors, and then for you to adopt them by a majority vote. I should also point out that you've had 2 Attorney General opinions with regard to the adoption of the standards, and if I may quote from one of them, textbooks that have no factual errors to meet the established physical standards, the board must place those on either the conforming or non-conforming list. And then fourth, in adoption of the textbooks, the board must foster the continuation of the tradition of teaching United States and Texas history in the free enterprise system. So that's the authority of the board to look at those things and then put them on the list. And I quoted from an opinion that was issued prior to the removal of the conforming and non-conforming list.
So, and just as a follow-up, and I'm just very, curious about this whole concept. And I don't know, Vaughn, if you were in here when we had this discussion about a textbook having e-mentors, which are presumably adults somewhere. So if a textbook company or such would have an e-mentor, would that mentor not, if they were going to have contact with a public school student, would they not have to be vetted and cleared by a local school district? With a criminal background check, would they have to be identified if they were going to come in contact with those students as a part of that class? Is that a fair question?
I think it's a fair question. My initial reaction would be yes, but I'd have to do some research to confirm that.
Okay. And I guess is that if this particular textbook is promoting that and has it as part of its program, and if that then does not comply with Texas law in terms of vetting and clearing and providing a criminal background check for faculty and staff and volunteers, then would that not be grounds to not approve a book?
Well, I think the question is really going to come under whether that's actually part of the instructional materials. I don't know that part was submitted as part of the book. So I don't believe it falls under they're not asking for your permission.
Okay. Was it not? Is it part of the book or not? It's ancillary? I mean, but is it included where it can be accessed?
Emily, turn your mic back on.
Mr.
Yes,
Maynard,
it is in the book. I don't know how it would be excluded. I don't know about filters or how they would filter that out. It's embedded in the idea of the book. It's one of the overriding things in everything that's said about it is good about Common Core, how wonderful Common Core is, and what a wonderful experience it is for the children to have pen pals.
Ms.
Right.
Martinez, did you want to say something?
Just that with respect to ancillary material, that is not material that's reviewed or that's considered as part of your adoption process. It's supplemental, it's in addition to, so it really doesn't fall into this process.
So what you're saying is that we have no authority to judge or pass judgment or to review ancillary material. Is that correct?
I don't believe you do.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Byer?
Yeah. The So you actually part of the discussion about supplemental materials was dealt with as part of the Attorney General opinions, the one that I quoted. Originally, an Attorney General opinion said that supplemental was not under your purview, and then the later Attorney General opinion did say that that could come under your purview, but I have not been able to find something. I haven't been able to find anything in your rules that address that.
Okay, so I'm looking at the e-mentors. I don't see it as part of the content, but it is accessible when you go to the book's a digital book, and the link's right there on the front page, but I'm not sure it's part of the content.
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Ms. Cargill, if Common Core is mentioned throughout this book and spoken in a real positive way, when we have a law against it, it is, in my opinion, that we need to honor that. And I don't know how this book even got past anybody with the word Common Core in there based on the law that we have on the books. This probably is the first challenge, and I would ask, as chairman, to go to the Attorney General and ask his opinion of this, because I'm not voting for anything that says Common Core. I can assure you of that.
Okay. I will certainly consider your request. Ms. Harding?
Teacher's pet didn't get called on when they were supposed to. One is, I've been under the impression that the ancillary was not under our review process. I don't believe they do. They don't review that whenever they have the meeting, which that would leave off the idea of the e-mentors, which may connect them to Common Core. I don't know. We'll leave it to the Common Core. But as an explanation of how the local school districts are using material that says Common Core. Oh, I want to also clarify, there is no social studies Common Core. There is no social studies Common Core. What these publishers have done is this is a national program, and so they are using it as a way of connecting, a promotional type thing. It's a catchword in apparently 40 or 45 other states, and they like to see that connection. There's really nothing they can say that is Common Core in there except they're using it as a promotional, because there is no Common Core social studies. So as it has been explained to me, if it's in the book and it says Common Core and it's used as a promotional thing, and as long as the book covers 100% of the TEKS, then that's what's important, is that we have the 100% coverage of our standards, not so much the name Common Core, because there is no social studies Common Core for it to be referencing. So it is just sort of a, what'd you say, publicity or a selling point or something like that. So the books that have a stronger Texas market have taken out all references to Common Core and so forth in their products, but this has as a national, and this is, I will say, Cengage has only one book in the process. It's a 6th grade social studies, and they're very much connected to the National Geographic Society, and the National Geographic Society is very much connected to the concept of the Common Core, and so that's what's prompted that inclusion.
It looks like they have an economics book, too.
Oh, okay.
You look at your
Excuse me.
thing here.
Sorry.
All right. So Emily has patiently been standing there. Any other questions for her? Mr. Mercer?
Yes. Thank you, Emily, for being here. And all the comments I think Ms. Miller said, but basically, bottom line, I get to vote. I get to vote. I've been to legislators throughout the country, state by state. They're banning Common Core. They're defunding Common Core. I understand even the U.S. House is going to defund that. So my question to staff, on behalf of Emily, did they list any penalties? That's always been my concern. We pass a law. Are there any penalties, financial or criminal penalties associated if people use Common Core? Is there any teeth to the law other than it's prohibited?